scene 2 with Lady Macbeth, she's done her bell ringing and she's back in the room. And while she's in the room, this is going on, Macbeth is doing his deed in the king's chambers. Okay, and so as she goes on here, we see her, it's not so much a soliloquy, she is the only one on stage, so it is technically a soliloquy, but you can see it's not many lines, but we see what's going on in her mind. Does she still think that he being Macbeth, is able to go and do what he needs to do? Or, you know, were there some mistakes? It's taking too long. What's that noise? You know, kind of the paranoid thing you would probably have if you were, you know, planning a murder and it was, you know, being conducted at that particular moment. Because, you know, if things go wrong, it's not like, my bad, slap on the wrist. You know, it's treason. Traitors, you die. And so there's a lot riding on it. Even though it's a great plan, it still needs to be followed through. And so we see her kind of thinking about it and fretting and things. Macbeth comes in, and I want you to notice Macbeth. Does he walk in all proud? Does he walk in kind of whimpering and crying? Is it something between? How does she respond to the way he responds? It's kind of strange. And this is really the presence of blood for the first time in this play. And we physically see the blood. A lot of times it's mental blood, the imagination. But here it's physical blood. And look at how blood is almost its own character in this particular scene. And then the Lady Macbeth and Macbeth scene upon killing Duncan. So pretty good. Inside, Lady Macbeth, you know, that which made them drunk hath made me bold. What hath quenched them hath given me fire. So she's probably adrenaline, probably surging. She's probably really excited for what's going on, and because they're changing history, they're writing history, not just, you know, for Scotland, but, you know, for her and her husband. And so she's pretty excited. She goes on that you know, certain things are shrieking. You know, I've drugged their possets, that death and nature do contend about them, whether they live or die. Footnotes always are helpful. She says that she has so strongly drugged their bedtime drinks that they are in a death-like sleep. So those chamberlains, they are dead to the world. They do not know what's going on. They don't know that the person they're there to protect is being murdered. And they don't know that it's going to happen, you know, that what's going to happen to them in a little bit. Macbeth calling from within, who's there? What ho? Alack, I'm afraid they have awaked, and 'tis not done. The attempt and not the deed confounds us. Hark! I laid their daggers ready. He could not miss them. Had he not resembled my father as he slept, I'd had done it. And so she's wondering, why is he talking? Why is he making noise? The daggers were right there. Didn't he see the daggers? They're right there. And she even says that I would have done it if not he looked like my father. Okay, so she's like, I could have even done the killing, but he looked like my father, and there's no way that I could kill my father. And so he finally comes walking in, and his hands are covered with blood. I have done the deed. Didst thou not hear a noise? Why, I heard the owl scream and the crickets cry, but did not you speak? When? Now. As I came in, as I descended, I. Hark, who lies in the second chamber? Donalbain. Oh, this is a sorry sight. Oh, a foolish thought to say a sorry sight. We're victorious. Yay! Why are you sorry? Why are you whining around? He goes, there's one that did laugh in its sleep, and one cried murder, that they did wake each other. I stood and heard them, but they did say their prayers and addressed them again to sleep. Well, there are two lodged together. Oh, okay, well then it's Donalbain and Malcolm were next door. And upon killing Duncan, they woke up and they were startled. Something inside of them, murder! They screamed out murder. They kind of woke themselves up from sleep. That's kind of weird. Okay? That's not right. But they kind of fell back asleep. Have you guys ever woken yourself up from a sleep? Maybe you fall. Have you ever had that? And your body jerks awake? Things like that. Something woke them up. Okay? Maybe they heard something. But they woke up and then they said their prayers and went back to sleep. But what really freaks Macbeth out is that one cried, God bless us, and amen, the other. As they had seen me with their hangman's hands, listening their fear, I could not say amen when they did say God bless us. For some reason, because what he had done was so horrible, he couldn't say amen. It's like, I couldn't bless them. And this always reminds me back to, remember the albatross? Okay, the whole thing, I blessed them unaware, or he couldn't pray, he was so parched, and he was floating around with all those dead bodies in the Rime of the Ancient Mariner, but he couldn't pray for whatever reason until he finally was able to bless something, those sea creatures. And so we have here, because of what I've done, it was so horrible, I was unable to say amen or God bless you. That type of thing. And so he's really struggling with all of this. But what's really interesting, where is it? Macbeth, he goes on, that, I'm never going to be able to sleep anymore. Methought I heard a voice cry, sleep no more. Macbeth does murder, sleep. And so he thinks he's hearing things. Hearing voice, he goes, oh, Macbeth shall sleep no more. And Lady Macbeth coming back once again, who was it who cried? Why, worthy Thane, you do unbend your noble strength to think so brain-sick. No, you're noble and strong and brave. Why are you thinking like this? Nothing happened. Nobody said anything. If they woke up, they went back to sleep, fine. You're absolved. Nothing happened. Nobody said, you're hearing things. Go, get some water and wash this filthy witness from your hand. Filthy witness, the blood. Okay, wash that away. And then there's like a start. Why did you bring these daggers from the place? They must lie there. Go, carry them and smear the blood on the sleepy grooms. Macbeth didn't finish what he was supposed to do. He did the murder, the daggers, stab, and so on. And then they woke up, and that freaked him out, and so he came back. But he brought the murder weapons with him. You were supposed to leave those. You were supposed to take that blood and smear those guys. You didn't do it. And he's too freaked out. He can't do it. I'll go no more. I am afraid to think what I have done. Look on't again, I dare not. Oh, infirm of purpose. Good golly, man, what's going on with you? Man up again. Okay? So again, if she wasn't here, he would be lost. Okay? It's important that we establish these roles in this relationship because things are going to change next act. Okay? And things are going to go all over the place. And if we don't know where they were at the beginning and what happened to them, ultimately where they end up, it doesn't make much sense. And so we have to see this progression. So give me the daggers. The sleeping and the dead are but as pictures. 'Tis the eye of childhood that fears a painted devil. Okay, so if they're asleep or dead, you can't tell. They're not really dead, they're just sleeping. Just walk in and do what you're supposed to do. Done. Okay, that part of her plan that definitely needs to happen. And so go gild the faces of the grooms withal, for it must seem their guilt. And then somebody knocks. Okay, not on their door, but on the gate, the entrance to their castle or their abode there. Who's knocking? What is it with me when every noise appalls? Oh, I'm scared by every little noise. What's going on with me? And so he's really kind of a nervous basket case. Okay, he's kind of lost it. So he hasn't handled himself too gloriously or too kingly, as we probably would think. So Lady Macbeth had taken the knives when Macbeth hears a knocking, and she comes back in, and now her hands. My hands are of your color, but I shame to wear a heart so white. So my hands are the same as your color, but I'm not as upset as you are. Because this blood there's so much blood. Look at what he says at the very top. He goes, will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand? No. This my hand will rather the multitudinous seas in Carnadine. So he's thinking that there's so much blood on my hand that if I put it in the water is going to turn what color? Red. There's so much blood here that it won't wash my hands clean and take away all the evidence. In fact, there's so much blood that it'll turn the seas red. Okay? And so, again, blood, I've told you a lot. It's going to be playing out more and more. And this is, just his mindset going into this. And we see him kind of losing it. Excuse me. And so she comes in. She goes, a little water clears us of this deed. Just wash your hands. Everything's fine. And then Macbeth, at the end, he says, to know my deed, 'twere best not know myself. If I am aware of my crime, it would be best for me to remain in this daze, because she tells him, quick, somebody's here. We must get out of these clothes. Not only may they have blood on them, but they're wearing their clothes from the night before. Everybody else has gone to bed. Everybody else is sleeping. Everybody else is in their nightgown or whatever pajamas that they wear. And so somebody's knocking. So we're going to have to go out and see who it is. If they find the body right now, we're going to have to rush out. And it's going to look weird if we're still dressed in our clothes from the night before. And he's still in his daze. He's like, leave me alone, leave me alone. And she's, again, trying to, she's probably smacking him on stage to get him, to see reason. And then this last line, again, another one of those poetic lines. The knocking's been going on. Wake Duncan with thy knocking. I would thou couldst. So you can keep knocking all you want. You're not going to be able to wake him. Okay, so he's kind of losing it. Now, the next time we see him, he's kind of calmed down a little bit, and we'll see this in scene 3.